comment that knew what was behind the camera. The first thing I noticed was the light on my router. It wasn't blinking. It was steady. I remember staring at it because it felt wrong. That small green light usually flickers constantly. Little bursts of activity even when I'm not doing anything online. But at 1:12 a.m., sitting alone at my desk with my upload bar at 87%, it was just solid. No movement. The apartment was quiet enough that I could hear the building settling. Pipes ticking in the walls. The faint hum of the refrigerator behind me. My desk lamp was the only light on. Everything beyond that circle felt farther away than usual. The video finished uploading. I don't get many views, a few hundred subscribers. Mostly people who find my stuff late at night. I talk about random things. Urban development, weird local news, sometimes just whatever's on my mind. This one was simple. 15 minutes recorded at my desk, tight frame. Just me and the wall behind me. I refreshed the page out of habit. One comment. That part wasn't unusual. I have a couple of viewers who are always early. The comment read, "You should repaint behind the couch. The outlet looks worse in person." I didn't understand it at first. The couch isn't in frame when I film. It's behind the camera, against the opposite wall. The outlet behind it has a patch of chipped paint. I noticed it when I moved in last year, but it's mostly hidden unless you pull the couch forward. There was no way it was visible in the video. I leaned back slowly and turned in my chair, just to confirm. The couch sat where it always did. The outlet was fully blocked. I looked back at the screen. The username was unfamiliar. No profile picture, no banner. Account created that month. I typed, "What do you mean?" No reply. I refreshed again. The comment was still there. I opened the video in another tab and scrubbed through it, looking for reflections. Maybe something in my glasses. Maybe a glimpse of the room in the microwave door in the kitchen behind me. Nothing. The camera angle was tight, intentional. I don't like showing too much of my apartment. I told myself it was a guess. Maybe they were making a joke about how apartments always need repainting. Maybe it was vague enough to land. I left it alone and went to bed. The next morning, the comment was gone. Not hidden, not in the held for review folder, just gone. When I clicked the username, the page returned an error. Channel not found. That stuck with me longer than I expected. That night, I checked older videos. Scrolling back a few months, I noticed replies from the same username under videos I'd already forgotten about. 3 weeks earlier, the hallway light hums louder at night. 2 months ago, you don't close the bathroom vent all the way. 4 months ago, there's a crack in the window frame near your desk. I felt something slow and cold settle in my chest. The hallway light does hum. It's subtle. I only hear it when everything else is quiet. The bathroom vent sticks slightly open if you don't push it hard enough. And there is a thin crack in the window frame beside my desk. It lets in a draft in winter. You can't see it on camera. It's below the frame line. I don't talk about those things in my videos. I don't give apartment tours. I don't film wide shots. I sat there for a long time, replaying random uploads, looking for anything that could explain it. A reflection, a slip of the camera, a passing mention. Nothing. Every comment was casual, observational. No threats, no tone, just statements about parts of my apartment that weren't visible, and every single one of them had disappeared. Only my replies remained. Floating alone in the comment sections, I didn't upload for a week. During that week, I started noticing the apartment differently. The silence felt heavier. At night, the hallway seemed longer. I began checking the locks twice before bed, then 3 times. I moved the couch slightly one evening, just enough to look at the outlet. The paint was peeling a little more than I remembered. That bothered me more than it should have. I recorded again the following Friday. Different setup, I repositioned my desk so the camera faced the kitchen instead of the living room wall. I shut every interior door, turned off the hallway light, made sure the bathroom vent was fully closed. I didn't mention any of it. I uploaded at 12:58 a.m. At 1:03, a comment appeared. Different username, no profile picture. It read, "You forgot the closet." My eyes moved automatically toward the hallway. The closet door at the end doesn't latch properly. If you don't push it hard enough, it rests closed but not fully sealed. I hadn't checked it before recording. I hadn't thought about it. There was no way the closet was visible. The camera was facing the opposite direction entirely. I stood up slowly and walked down the hall. The apartment felt cooler than the main room, or maybe I just felt warmer. The closet door looked closed. I stopped about 3 feet away. From that distance, I could see it wasn't flush with the frame. It was open the width of a finger. I don't remember opening it. I don't remember not checking it either. I stood there listening. No movement inside, no sound except the low hum of the refrigerator behind me. I pushed the door shut until it clicked into place. When I returned to my desk, the comment was gone. The account didn't exist. I didn't sleep much that night. Around 3 a.m., I got up and walked through the apartment again. Checked the windows, the bathroom, the closet. Everything was where it should be. But standing in the living room, looking toward the spot where my camera usually sits, I had a strange thought. Every time I record, I'm facing one direction. There's always an entire half of the apartment behind the lens. I've always assumed it was empty. The next morning, I reviewed the footage from that last upload. 8 minutes in, while I was talking about zoning laws, something dull and harmless, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. The hallway behind me wasn't fully dark. There was a faint line of light along the floor, like something had been opened just slightly. In my memory, I had shut every door. In the video, the light remained there for the rest of the recording. It never widened. It never disappeared. Just a thin, steady line at the base of the hallway closet. I don't remember seeing it while I was filming, and I don't remember leaving that light on. I haven't uploaded since. But sometimes, late at night, I'll sit at my desk and look at the space behind the camera. And I'll wonder how long someone has been describing it to me before I noticed. If you enjoy slow, unsettling horror stories, consider liking the video and subscribing. The chat that spoke before I did. I remember the cursor blinking. That's what felt wrong first. It wasn't the chat message, not immediately. It was the way the text bar at the bottom of my streaming software kept flashing like someone was typing, even though the viewer count said 0. 12:07 a.m. I was 10 minutes into the stream. Desk lamp on, overhead light off. Window cracked slightly because the room gets stuffy when my PC runs too long. I could hear the faint rush of cars from the highway about half a mile away. I stream most nights. Nothing big. Just late night talking. Sometimes gaming. Sometimes I just sit there and talk about whatever happened that day. It fills the silence of the apartment. That night, there was one viewer. The username was plain. No numbers. Just a single word. Ahead. They didn't say anything at first. I was telling a story about my car battery dying earlier that afternoon. How I had to call roadside assistance and wait 40 minutes in the cold parking lot behind my building. Mid-sentence, the chat updated. "You're going to say you should have replaced it last winter." I stopped for a second. I hadn't said that yet, but I had thought it. I had that exact sentence in my head. Something about how I should have replaced it last winter instead of putting it off. I looked at the stream delay indicator. It showed about a 6-second delay, which is normal. That means what viewers see happens 6 seconds after I say it, so chat should always be behind me, not ahead. I laughed it off. "Yeah," I said a second later. "I probably should have replaced it last winter." I glanced at the timestamp. Their message was marked 12:09:14. My sentence landed at 12:09:18. 4 seconds earlier. That bothered me more than I expected. I kept talking, shifted topics, started describing the inside of the parking garage, the smell of cold concrete, the echo when I shut my door. Chat updated again. You're about to mention the flickering light. I hadn't planned to. But as soon as I read it, the image of that flickering fluorescent tube above my parking spot came into focus in my mind. And I said it. There's this one light down there that flickers constantly. My voice sounded slightly delayed to my own ears. Or maybe I was just hyper-aware. The timestamp difference was 5 seconds this time. I leaned closer to the screen. Are you watching a replay? I asked. No response. The viewer count still said 1. The room felt warmer suddenly, or maybe my face did. I told myself it had to be latency confusion. Maybe the system clock was off. Maybe my dashboard wasn't synced correctly. I continued. I started a new story deliberately. Something random I hadn't thought through. I said, "Okay, let me think of something else." Before I could finish forming the next sentence in my head, the chat posted, "Don't talk about your dad." My stomach tightened. I hadn't said anything about my dad. I don't talk about him on stream. Not because it's secret, just because it's not relevant. I stared at the message. The timestamp showed 12:16:02. My clock read 12:16:05. 3 seconds ahead. I swallowed and shifted in my chair. The leather made a soft sound under me. I could hear my PC fans spinning harder. I wasn't going to, I said carefully. That wasn't true. For a split second before reading that message, I had considered mentioning a memory of him teaching me how to jump a car battery. It had crossed my mind. The chat didn't reply. The viewer count stayed at 1. I felt watched in a way that had nothing to do with numbers on a screen. At 12:19, I decided to test it. I stayed silent, just looked at the camera, didn't move, didn't think of anything specific. The room was quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen and a faint clicking noise from the radiator. 10 seconds passed, then the chat updated. You're listening to the radiator. I looked toward the hallway instinctively. The radiator was in the living room near the window. It clicks when the heat cycles. I hadn't mentioned it. I hadn't even moved toward it. But I had noticed it. The message timestamp was 12:19:47. My stream clock showed 12:19:52. 5 seconds ahead, I ended the stream abruptly. No sign-off. Just clicked End Broadcast. The chat disappeared immediately. I replayed the VOD. The messages were still there, and the timestamps were still earlier than my words. Not dramatically, just consistently. 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 5. Enough to feel intentional. I didn't sleep much that night. The next evening I went live again. Part of me wanted to prove it was a glitch. Viewer count, 0. I waited. Nothing. I talked for about 20 minutes. No chat activity. At 12:23 a.m., the typing cursor flickered again in the chat input field, even though no one was there. Then a message appeared. You almost didn't start tonight. No username, no profile picture, just the text. The viewer count still said 0. The timestamp showed 12:23:11. My stream clock read 12:23:16. 5 seconds. I felt something shift inside me then. Not panic, just a slow recognition. It wasn't predicting what I said, it was responding to what I was about to think. Because right before going live, I had sat at my desk for almost 10 minutes debating whether to start at all. I hadn't told anyone that. I hadn't posted about it. I looked directly into the camera. The lens reflected a small circle of white light from my lamp. Beyond that, just darkness. I decided not to speak. I cleared my mind as much as I could, focused only on the sound of my own breathing. The room felt cooler than before. The draft from the cracked window touched the side of my face. The chat updated. "You're trying not to think." I ended the stream again. When I checked the VOD, there were no messages, no chat history at all. It was as if the stream had been empty. I checked my analytics. It showed 0 viewers for the entire duration. No record of a head, no record of any account. The following night, I didn't go live, but at 12:07 a.m., my streaming software sent a notification sound through my speakers. A soft chime. I wasn't broadcasting. The dashboard window was open, but offline. The chat panel showed a single line of text. We're still 5 seconds ahead. There was no timestamp, no username. The viewer count still said 0. I closed the program slowly. The room was quiet again. The radiator clicked once. The refrigerator hummed. Everything ordinary. But ever since then, when I sit alone at night, I notice something strange. My thoughts don't feel entirely private. Sometimes I'll form a sentence in my head, and for a brief moment I'll hesitate, because it feels like it's already been said somewhere else, just a few seconds before I do. There's another channel using my face. I found the channel at 2:11 a.m. I know the exact time because I had just finished uploading and was doing what I always do afterward, searching my own title to see where it landed. It's a habit. I don't get many views, but I still check. My newest upload was called Night Shift Observations number 14. When I searched it, my thumbnail appeared first, and directly under it was the same thumbnail, same font, same washed-out blue background, same photo of me at my desk, chin slightly down, lamp glow on the left side of my face. For a second, I assumed it was a caching error. Maybe YouTube duplicated the listing, but the channel name wasn't mine. It was spelled exactly the same. No extra letters, no subtle changes. When I clicked it, the banner loaded, identical to mine. The description, identical. Even the upload schedule in the About section matched. Tuesdays and Fridays. Late nights. The subscriber count read 0. Total views, 0. The channel creation date stopped me. March 18th, 2019. That's the day I created mine. I didn't remember the exact date until I checked my own About page. March 18th, 2019. Same year, same day. I clicked the most recent upload. It had the same title as mine, same length down to the second. When it started playing, I felt something tighten in my chest. It was my room. Same desk, same off-white wall, same faint crack running diagonally near the ceiling corner. But the framing was slightly wider. I could see more of the hallway behind me. In my version, the hallway light was off. In this one, it was on. The person in the chair looked like me. Same haircut, same gray t-shirt I had worn earlier that night. But the way he held his shoulders felt different, straighter, less slouched. He started speaking. The topic was the same, small town zoning changes and abandoned retail spaces. But the sentences weren't exact. He phrased things more directly, less hesitation, no filler words. It sounded like me if I'd rehearsed. About 5 minutes in, he leaned back in the chair. I leaned back at the same timestamp in my own upload. I opened my version in another tab and played them side by side. When I leaned back, my hallway was dark and empty. When he leaned back, something moved at the end of his hallway. Not fast, not sudden, just a subtle shift in shadow near the baseboard. I paused both videos, went frame by frame. In mine, the hallway was still. In his, there was a darker vertical shape near the closet door, tall enough to reach almost to the top of the frame. It didn't look solid. It looked like absence, like part of the light had been removed. I told myself it was compression artifacts. Shadows can look strange when video is compressed twice. I kept watching. Around the 9-minute mark, he stopped speaking mid-sentence. just stopped, sat there, looking at the camera, not blinking. In my version, I kept talking about redevelopment permits. In his, he sat silently for almost 10 seconds. Then he said very calmly, "You don't see him from that angle." I don't remember saying that. I checked my audio waveform. At the same timestamp, my voice was steady, continuing the topic. I watched his version again. When he spoke that line, his eyes weren't focused on the lens. They were slightly above it, as if he was looking at something standing behind the camera. I minimized the window and leaned back in my chair. My own hallway was dark, quiet. The refrigerator hummed softly in the kitchen. A car passed outside, headlights sliding briefly across my ceiling. I told myself someone had scraped my content and manipulated it. Maybe a deep fake. But the changes weren't dramatic. They were subtle. In another upload from 3 weeks ago, the bookshelf behind him had an extra photo frame on the second shelf. I don't own that frame. In one from last month, the blinds were open slightly, showing a different pattern of streetlights outside. My street doesn't look like that. The strangest one was from 6 months ago. In his version, halfway through the video, there was a faint tapping sound. 3 taps, evenly spaced. He paused, tilted his head slightly, and said, "I know." In my original upload, there was no tapping, and I didn't pause. I checked the channel analytics on his page. No comments, no likes, no views. Every video had 0 across the board, as if no one else could see it. I copied the URL and sent it to a friend. He replied 5 minutes later. "Link's broken." I refreshed the page. "Channel not found." I searched again. Nothing. I sat there for a long time, staring at the empty results page. The apartment felt different, not threatening, just occupied, like the air had weight to it. The next night I uploaded again. Same setup, same lighting. At 2:03 a.m., I searched the title. The duplicate channel was back. Same video length, same thumbnail. I clicked immediately. This time he was wearing a black hoodie. I hadn't worn a hoodie. In his version, about 12 minutes in, the closet door at the end of the hallway slowly eased open. Not dramatically, just enough for a thin line of darkness to widen. He didn't turn around. He didn't react. He kept speaking calmly, as if he knew it was happening. At 14:22, he stopped, looked directly at the camera, and said, "You're closer tonight." My own version at 14:22 was still mid-sentence. No pause, no closet movement. I muted the video but kept watching. In his hallway, something shifted just inside the open closet. Not stepping out, just adjusting, like it had changed its stance. I minimized the window and looked behind my own camera. The closet door at the end of my hallway was closed, but I couldn't remember checking it before recording. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the room to cool slightly, long enough for the refrigerator to cycle off and on again. When I looked back at the screen, the duplicate channel had vanished. I haven't searched for it since. I still record sometimes, but before I hit upload, I watch the footage carefully. Not for editing mistakes, not for audio levels. I watch the hallway behind me, because once in a while, when I lean back in my chair, I have the quiet feeling that the version of me on the other channel isn't alone anymore. And I'm starting to think the difference between our rooms isn't the lighting, it's the angle.